Scrap Heap Industries. Today we're continuing work on the mostly printed CNC electronics enclosure. The last time we had a video, we connected the power cord to the power supply. It's a switching power supply. You'll see meanwhile LR is 124, which means it's 24 volts, 100 watts. But now we need to get power from here to this buck converter, and from that buck converter back to the Raspberry Pi. And then also to the main board, but that's pretty simple there. That's just a straight wiring job because the board runs on 24 volts. It'll run 12 or 24. I like 24 volts. Cuts the wattage down, all that good stuff. Ohm's law, look it up, live it, dream it, be it. I'll put links below for the wiring diagram for the mini USB port, actually they're micro USB port adapters, other links that are necessary that you'll need to be able to do this. This micro USB adapter, so you get, I think it was 50 of these for $6, something like that on Amazon. There'll be a link, you can look it up. So I have like a lifetime supply of these things. Anyway, that's this piece. This is the cool little injected molded case that goes around it after you're done. I may or may not use that. I probably just heat shrink it because that's bulky and I'm out of room in this box. Piece of 22 gauge wire, good for 3 amps. Look up the ampacity chart. More than enough. The Raspberry Pi uses 2 amps, so we got plenty there. Over 30% left over. So anyway, first thing to do is cut a length of wire. This is an old connection from a fan, so we'll just get rid of that. Use our handy dandy wire stripper that was in my first video, which rocks. Look at that, one shot, both wires. Now we're going to need some space in between there. If you watched the first video, I did some soldering. One of the most important things you can have is a flux pen. You cannot solder without flux. I don't know what this flux does to your fingertips. I'm sure it's some sort of acid. I don't recommend that. Don't follow my instructions. I'll show you how to pre-tin these tips next up. All right, we're back. What we need to do is pre-tin these tips. If you look at my soldering iron, I have already added some solder to it. Please don't make fun of it. It's old. I need a new tip, I know. I have a new one out in the building, but this is how I pre-tin. Doesn't mean that's the way you should do it. It works for me. It's how I was taught when I was a young boy. So anyway, 2 pre-tin tips. Now, the trick here, here's the mini USB connector, and according to the wiring diagram, this is wire 1, this is wire 5. 1 is the positive, 5 is the negative. So we need to put the red wire to this one, the black wire to this one. So we will also flux these pins. I'm going to heat them up, and it should only stick to the metal part, but I cannot do that this way. I don't know how much solder I have on I have a ton of solder actually, and it's going to get hot quick. So there you see a little bit of solder, that's all you need. There you go, just like that. So what did I say? This one's 1, this one's 5. 1 was the red one, and we will try to make it all nice and lined up because we don't want to get voltage over. All right, let that cool just for a second. Let me get this off here too. All right, I don't think we're touching. We'll test it and make sure we have continuity and it's where it's supposed to be. That's a good connection, and we will heat shrink that, I believe. Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. Anyway, I'll show you how to do that next. All right, now I just need to make sure there's no cross wires. We have some voltage here. Don't want to fry a pie. Anyway, so really just continuity. You'll hear a tone. So if I touch to this pad, I should not hear a tone when I touch this. I should not hear a tone when I touch this. But if you touch here, nowhere else. So we should be good there. Doesn't look like much, but it will work. Next, I'm going to put a piece of heat shrink tube on. We'll just keep it on. Here to the no. I hope this fits on here. I don't want to get any bigger. I may have to fudge. Nah, it'll work. Yeah. Anyway, a handy dandy Wagner hot air gun, which was one of the greatest purchases of my entire life, because I've been putting heat shrink tube on with cigarette lighters and everything else now. all we have to do. And it makes it look like not a bunch of hobos did it. That's fine. And this really just neatens it up. Anyway, now we need to wire it up. We have to solder these wires to the buck converter, which are way over here. Here you see where it says in plus, in minus. I'm going to do that off camera real quick and then show you the final result, and then we'll test out the power out from it. Okay, that last shot was a mistake. I told you this had to come to the in. It's actually to the out. So really, these nice little solder pads, we're going to pre-tin those. You'll see they've been fluxed, ready to go. Here are the wires. This is the minus side, so that would be the black wire. Ah, moved it too soon. Okay, then I'm going to do the plus way back in here. I don't think you're going to be able to see this one, but we'll get it hooked up and then test it. All right, so we have this connection soldered in, the out to the Raspberry Pi. The in comes back up and around into here. Anyway, one thing I want to tell you, this buck converter, I got 6 of them for $5 something on Amazon. I'll include the link. They're always handy to have around, especially when you're dealing with direct current. Anyway, so what we're going to do now is take this over to the station and test the voltage coming out and make sure we're at 5 volts. And you will see this little brass screw right here on this potentiometer, and that's what we'll adjust the voltage with. Hopefully it's close. We'll see. It needs to be somewhere in the 5 volt range to make the Raspberry Pi happy. So, all right, so you'll see we're live, powers to everything. Raspberry Pi is disconnected. If you look at the meter, we're at, oh shoot, I lost my fingers, there we go. 15 volts, we need to be at 5. So you turn it counterclockwise to get it to go down. We got a long way to go. All right, we want to tone this in as close to 5 volts as we possibly can, because a balanced system, oops, is a happy system. 5, boom. We can, hold on, let's wait for all the juice to come out, because it is a transformer. There we go. We stick our fingers where they don't belong. This plugs in right there. You'll see I had to take the power supply off just because I couldn't get to everything. So let's plug this back in, see if the Raspberry Pi lights up. And it does. I don't have an SD card in there, it's just straight power, but the solid red light is what you're looking for on the Raspberry Pi. So anyway, I'll put all this back together. We'll call this one done for now. The next part of this project will be wiring these 2 fans in, which is pretty simple, and we will pull that power off the board, which will come from, where is it? This, I think it's this port. It's a straight 24 volt port, so that anytime the board is on and running, we'll have that. We'll power this board up and do this, test these fans, because we have to have active cooling across these TMC 2130s that will be here, because they generate a lot of heat when they're running stepper motors. Anyway, keep building. We'll talk to you next time.
Hell no, to the no, no, no. Hell to the no, hell to the no, to the no, no.